When one soul carries the dream of many, the weight can either crush her or carve her into a legend. So goes an old saying from the land of Izzi, a quiet village tucked in the red earth of Ebonyi state, where the cock still crows to greet the dawn. And wisdom is carried not in books, but in stories told beside the fire. In those days, the children of Izzi had never known a life beyond the farms. Their world ended where the footpaths met the forest. But there came a generation, a small band of curious minds, who began to ask questions their father never asked. They were the first to read, the first to write, and the first to dream beyond the yam fields. Among them was a young girl named Nneka, the daughter of a widow. Her name meant Mother is Supreme. She was light-footed and sharp-eyed, her voice gentle but her spirit bold. She would often climb the old mango tree at the edge of the village, where she could see far beyond the hills and whisper, "One day, I will go beyond that horizon. One day, I will return with light." The elders would smile and say, "Ha! The child who talks to the wind will one day speak to the world." Life in Izzi was simple, until one season when a group of students from the city came for your community service. They came with their fine clothes, their gadgets, their British accents. They went to the local school and told the children, "There is a world beyond this place. If you study hard, you can become anything." Their words struck the hearts of the villagers like thunder. For the first time, the people saw a new kind of light, a light that burned not in fire but in knowledge. And so, the elders met under the great Iroko tree and said, "Let us send one of our own to the city. Let her bring us back this light." They looked around and all eyes fell on Nneka. She was young, bright, and humble. They said, "She will carry the dream of the village." So every member brought what they could: yams, goats, palm oil, even cowries. They gathered enough to send her to the city. The night before our journey, the drummers beat softly, and the women sang a farewell song. "Go with the wing, daughter of Izzi. Carry our hope upon your shoulders." Her mother prayed, "May your feet find good soil. May your eyes see beyond trouble." And so Nneka left, her heart full of dreams, her bag full of hope. The city welcomed her with noise, light, and endless motion. At first, it felt like heaven. Tall buildings, fast cars, people who spoke as if their tongues were fire. But soon, the light became too bright, the streets too wide, and the voices too strange. She entered the university and found herself among people who called her village girl. They laughed at her accent, at her clothes, at her silence. Yet, she endured. She studied with fire in her bones, remembering the faces of those who sold their gold to make her dream possible. But life has a way of testing the purest heart. When the money from home began to fade, Hunger crept in. The nights grew long and cold. Her friend Amara seemed to live in plenty. New clothes, perfumes, and bright smiles. One day, Nneka asked her, "Amara, how do you do it? How do you live so well?" Amara only smiled and said, "You wouldn't understand." But when the hunger became too loud to ignore, when her last meal was yesterday's garri soaked in tears, she went back to ask again. This time, Amara took her by the hand and said softly, "If you want to survive, you must do what others do." That night, she led her into the world of men who paid for pleasure and stole innocence. Nneka's heart pounded like a drum of war. She wanted to run, but desperation changed her feet. And when dawn came, she sat alone by her window, her body trembling, her soul shattered. She swore she would never do it again, and she didn't. From then, she began to write assignments, projects, and papers for other students just to survive. Her hands became her tools, her mind her only weapon. But fate, cruel as the dry season, had not finished with her. Weeks later, she fell ill. At first, she thought it was fever, until the truth struck like lightning. She was pregnant. Shame and fear choked her. The village that sent her forth with songs could never know this. In panic, she sought help from her friends. They gave her herbs, then pills. She swallowed her fate, and with it, swallowed her peace. By morning, pain tore through her body like thunder. Splitting a tree, she bled and fainted. When she woke, she was in the hospital. Her womb gone, her spirit broken. They say when a child trips on the road, she looks forward. But when an elder trips, she looks back to see what caused the fall. Nneka's fall was great, but her eyes were still turned forward. When the bus brought her home, silence filled the village square. The same people who once danced for her arrival now whispered, "Ha! She has returned ashamed." Her mother wept. The elders shook their heads. The hope of Izzi has fallen, they said. But an old man, Elder Chibueze, stood up and said, "A tree that bends in the storm has not fallen. A pot that cracks can still hold water if mended with care." His words softened hearts. The people gathered again, not to condemn but to heal. They sold what they had and sent her back for treatment. Though her womb was gone, her spirit found new life. She finished her studies with honor and returned to the city, not as a victim but as a voice. She founded the Daughters of Izzi, a small foundation that began under a mango tree, where she taught young girls to dream, to study, to rise. Her story spread far and wide. People sent help, and the village began to change. Schools rose from dust. Children walked with books instead of firewood. And Nneka's name, once spoken in pity, became a proverb of strength. She would often say, "I fell because I carried the hope of many. but I rose because they never stopped believing in me. And so it was said in Izzi land, the sun does not rise for one man alone, yet it begins with one dawn. You who listen to this story, remember this: the road of destiny is not straight. It twists through valleys of shame and climbs the hills of redemption. When you stumble, do not call it your end, call it your beginning. For the earth does not reject the seed that once failed to grow. It waits for the next rain. You will listen to this story. Perhaps your own village waits for your rising. Perhaps there are eyes somewhere in the shadows of your beginnings, hoping you will become the light that guards them. Do not disappoint destiny. Do not let failure make you small. Nneka fell, but she rose. And in her rising, she lifted people. So when the world laughs at your fall, remember the land of Izzi. Remember the girl who lost everything and still gave hope to everyone. The fire that refines gold is the same fire that burns the straw. Rise, child of Africa. Rise, dreamer of tomorrow. For your story may yet become the dawn for those still waiting in darkness. Did you enjoy this story? Like and share your comments in the comment box.